Welcome to the Online Entrepreneur Experience podcast that details the ins and outs, the how-tos, and the ups and downs of living a life of an online business owner.
What is going on? Are you guys pumped for this episode? This is going to blow your... He is. I told him what this episode was about last week. He's been just percolating on it, but you guys get to find out right now. And he is Deuces, the man, the myth, the legend. And I am the Viking. And we're going to blow your mind for the next 10 minutes. That's all we can last. Don't worry, guys. But anyways, man, before we dive into this awesome topic, brother, is there anything you want to talk about?
Nothing in particular, but if I were to put a label on it, I would have to say you got to watch what kind of labels you're putting on things and don't get so caught up in what that label is.
Oh, man, I couldn't agree more. And that is the prelude to what we're about to jam out on. We're going to be talking about labels, and how this all came about is it's my son's birthday in a couple of days, and I was rocking out with him, and I was like, bro, like, what do you want to do? Yes, I call my son bro. Like, I'm that cool, okay? And I'm like, Marcus, what would you like to do for your birthday? Like, where do you want to eat your dinner? All that good stuff. Well, first off, he told me, and you guys get a story, by the way. I didn't tell you guys, but get your popcorn. It's story time. And he first off tells me, he's like, I want a peanut butter and jelly sandwich for lunch. Now, I know kids aren't allowed peanut butter at schools. Don't worry, we get them wow butter because it is crazy and allowed. But anyways, he's like, I want a peanut butter and jelly sandwich for my lunch. I was like, you pretty much have those every day, so I don't know why that's special just on your birthday. He's like, yes, but I want it. It's like, cool, man. It's your birthday. You get to dictate that. You're in charge. He's like, yeah. And then I'm like, well, what do you want to do for your dinner? And he tells me, he's like, I want to go to Boston Pizza. And if you guys aren't from Canada, you don't know what Boston Pizza is, there is a place in the United States called Boston, same company. But essentially, it's a gourmet pizza place. That's a chain restaurant, tons of them everywhere. Anyways, so he's like, I want to go there. I was like, cool, man. Are you sure you don't want to go to ABC restaurant? Just, I listed off a few other ones just to make sure he was making the right decision for him. And he's like, yes, I would like to go to this. Now, getting to the point of labels, he then follows this up by asking me, he's like, Dad, and this is coming from an 8-year-old, so I don't even know where he heard this term before, but he's like, is Boston Pizza a 5-star restaurant? And I was just like, oh, right. I don't know where you got this word from. But no, Marcus, I'm sorry. Boston Pizza is not a 5-star restaurant. And his favorite food is chicken nuggets and French fries. Like, as a kid, obviously, like, why wouldn't that be, right? So I had to let him know that any restaurant that serves chicken nuggets and French fries is probably not going to be a 5-star restaurant. And he was like really, really let down by this. He's like, oh, it's not? I'm like, no. He's like, but what if they didn't have chicken nuggets and French fries, Dad? Would it be a 5-star restaurant then? And I was like, I just smile and laugh at him. I was so concerned about this. And I was like, probably still not. He's like, 4-star, Dad? I was like, maybe. Wouldn't be a 4-star restaurant. He's like, that sucks because they have the most delicious food. They have the most delicious food there. And I just like, it was just such an innocent, amazing conversation. And I asked him, I'm like, where did you hear this 5-star restaurant business from? He's like, oh, I don't know, but I heard it. And I thought that Boston Pizza should be one. And I was like, cool, that's awesome. And I mean, this gets me to my point. It's just like, at such a young age, he's already trying to label things that things need to be 5-star to have value. And does that actually have significance in this world? And no. And in so much now of our current life, labels are put on things with significance, right?
Yeah, it's funny that he wanted Boston Pizza to be a 5-star restaurant because I don't know anywhere else that you can get a spicy pierogi pizza, and that is fire. That is so good there.
Yeah, and it's spicy in your mouth too. It's not only fire, but it makes your mouth on fire, right?
I would consider that pizza 5-star, but the restaurant itself, no. So yes, I understand where you're going with as far as labels and needing to label something to give it value. I mean, that's so great.
Yeah, and like so often we put the wrong value like labels on things anyways, right? Like not just like to put the values like I need this label so I have value, which I think on its own is such a negative like connotation that you can put on things. And I think that it's just like putting a post out there just so you can get likes and loves and all that good stuff on it. And if I don't get this, I don't have significance. I think it's such an unhealthy thing for our culture. But as well as like if you get this like verified tag beside your name, all of a sudden you have significance. It's like, no, you had significance prior to that too, man.
Yeah.
You don't just need this little verified tag to have significance, right?
Yeah, and it goes the other way too, because there's a lot of things that are labeled as 5-star or labeled to have a lot of value, but they actually don't. I can give you a couple examples. Jaguar, that's number one. A lot of people, I might offend some people with that. If you drive a Jag, I'm sorry, they're pieces of shit. But
it's not their fault. They got bought by Ford and Ford destroyed them. I mean, really not their fault, right?
Very true, very true. But yeah, when you're looking for that label, when you're looking for the likes and loves and stuff, you tend to care more about the label itself than actually putting out value. Because if you put out value and you only get 2 or 3 likes, but you change someone's life, they liked it and then they started following you and now they're getting all kinds of value from you, then you're 5-star. You don't need the verified check.
Nah, you don't. And I like it's so freaking true. And like so many times you go to these things and because it's 5 stars, all of a sudden you're paying way more for something. And if you just went to Boston Pizza, you would have just had way more fun and enjoyed your experience that much more, right? I mean, and that's the thing about life. It's like, what is your actual purpose to be here? Is it to go to all these lavish things that have all this labels to them and everything like that? But or does it actually like go to like I want to have happy and abundance, right? Like, and if your goal is to have happy and abundance, which I think that should be the pursuit of everybody, then fuck labels. They have no real value in your life other than to heighten you and give you clout, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I follow this guy Taylor Welch. I'm sure most of you watching right now or listening know who Taylor Welch is. He dropped his Rolex off his table and cracked the glass. And his post on Facebook was just, oh, whoops, you know, $40,000 Rolex cracked the glass. I've got a $150 Nixon player watch that I could throw across the room and it still wouldn't crack. Yeah. So, I mean, no, it's not a Rolex, but that's the whole perceived value. And I mean, don't get me wrong, Rolexes are beautiful watches and they are
they're pretty nice, man. Yeah, they're pretty nice.
Yes, they are. However, can it fall off your table?
It has actually, but I'm not going to do it right now, just in case.
You don't want to prove my point.
No. It's funny, man. Like he's having some bad luck with that watch. He left it at the gym the other day too.
Oh, really? So the perceived value there is Rolex. You're paying a lot of money. You're getting top quality. And don't get me wrong, Rolexes are beautiful. But you can get a watch that does the same thing, tells time, that you can drop on the cement floor and it won't crack. But you just don't have the clout that comes with it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and that's what it's all about sometimes, right? Like, and it's okay. Like if you buy something with the label because you're like, yeah, this has the label and I'm buying this because of it, it's the acceptance of that. But it's a lot of times like people are just going through it because they want like this clout because they went to this restaurant and they don't really care about the other things that go along with it. And admitting that like you're going into the labels instead of like rejecting and being like, what are you talking about? I'm just amazing. You know, like that's a whole different thing. But at the same time, labels can be used in other ways, like really, really bad as well, where like sometimes like last year I went through a diet and everything because I let my body kind of get out of control. And I lost 35 pounds. And every time I looked in the mirror, I looked at myself and I was like, you're fat, Mark. you're a oinker. And regardless of whatever my body looked like, I continued to say the same thing about myself. I lost the 35 pounds. I looked in the mirror. I said the exact same thing to myself because the label in my brain said that I was fat. So I had to work within of the internal labels that I was using on myself and other things because they weren't felicitating my end results, which are I want to be happy and abundant.
Yeah. No, I love that because I mean, I too am a little pudgy, but I don't need to go on these crazy diets because me personally, I'm okay with being a little overweight. Do I want to lose some weight? Of course I do, but it's not for the clout. It's not for so I look better in photos to get the likes and loves, and it's not so that I have a more chiseled face when we're doing these videos, but it's more for a health thing, and it just depends on why you want to have that label. But as long as you have the right mindset, it shouldn't bother you.
No, 100%. Like, and I'm the exact same way with mine. Like, I didn't want to lose that weight because I wanted other people to think of me differently. I wanted to think of myself differently. And I think that those are the good reasons to have labels, right? Like, you should have these labels and do these actions because you want them, not just so other people think that you're going to be better and what other people think of you. That's such a hollow existence. And then you're always going to be seeking your happiness from other people. And I don't know if you've ever experienced this with Lacey, but with Karen, I used to put all my emphasis in her and my happiness. My label of happiness was whatever, if she reacted and smiled and told me good boy and patted me on the head, then I could actually accept that I did good and I could be happy. But if she didn't, and maybe she was having a shitty day and it had nothing to do with me and she was in a shitty mood, and I told her these things and she couldn't react the way that I needed her to do it at that moment in time, my label was I didn't do good enough. And all of a sudden I put these unfair expectations on Karen. And like, that's not fair to her. And then I would get upset with her, where I just need to have that internal, like actual clock going, right?
Yeah. So what you're basically saying is you got to manage your expectation and not just focus on the label itself, whether you're Instagram verified, whether you're driving a Jag or wearing a Rolex.
I love how you had to joke out saying Jag.
Drag. Electrical problems.
Oh my god. But I mean, labeling can work positive if you guys do like put the right labels on yourself as well, right? Like if you say that like, hey, like Renee has a sweater that says like beast mode on it. If you're like, I'm a beast, every time like you put the sweater on, like that label like comes attached with the sweater, it can actually empower you and stuff like that, right? So if you guys like use those labels that kind of way, it can also really, really help you, but it's just using the correct labels, right?
Yeah, I really like that too, actually, because when you are putting positive labels on yourself, it just empowers you to do more, do better, get better today than you were yesterday. And that's just how you level up. So if you're going to focus on the label for the wrong reasons, then you're just going to be stagnant. You're not going to progress forward. You're actually going to go backwards because you're so worried about getting those likes and loves and verified and all that stuff. But if you don't care about that and you care more about your own personal labels and saying, I deserve this, I am worth it, beast mode, then you're altering your mindset. And I love that.
Yeah, I think that's what it's all about. It's really altering that mindset to having more of the mindset that goes against you. And I'm going to hit one last little thing. And this is something that I heard earlier today, and it really was profound to me. And then you can finish it all off here, there, brother. But the one thing that I heard is like the big difference between like high achievers, like the billionaires, the high millionaires, and those people, and like the the average everyday people within their habits and routines and the labels that they use is us, like a lot of the like mere mortals of the world, they have off buttons, right? They label themselves with the off buttons, like this is time. I say 9 o'clock at night, the label is it's time to shut off, and I don't do anything. And for whatever reason, you have that programmed in your brain, and that's the label that you put on it. But then you have these high achievers where they're just like, yeah, I don't have an off button. There's no label there that says take days off. There's no label there that says hours I can't work or any of those kind of things. And that's the reason why they hit all these levels and everything like that. Like this one guy that both Renee and me follow. Renee's going to have to pronounce his name because I can't say it.
Alex Hormozzi.
Yeah. I mean, he was able to hit by, I think it was 27. He was able to hit $100 million. And he went from almost being bankrupt and a year later doing that because he kind of unlocked that one thing and two other things in his brain, but that one label in his brain that there was no off button. And that's what really, really helped him hit that next level. So just if you guys can eliminate that off button and those labels that are around yourself that are really, really limiting yourself, your happiness, your energy, your focus towards your goals, you're going to be able to hit like all new heights in life. So
what you're saying is I shouldn't take a day off. Not allowed to have a day off.
I didn't say that. You just have to label it the right way. Like there's no off button, but there has to be a label for the purpose. You shouldn't just take a day off so you can sit on the couch and do nothing without a purpose, but you should have it labeled being like, hey, this is my recharge day. I'm doing these things to recharge. Like put the label on it that's going to help you fulfill. But if you just take the day off to be like, I'm going to do all these other things and the day becomes a waste, and you're not actually the next day like recharged and rejuvenated and everything like that. Like the other night, I went over to Deuces' house. We sat by the fire and I'd worked all fucking day. And like, I was crazy because I'm in the process of renovating. And I go and I sat down and realized like, oh man, like you worked really hard today, man. You didn't have to come this way. It was a 20-minute drive, by the way, guys. It wasn't like all this way. I get to his house. He's like, you didn't have to come over. I was like, no, man, this is what I needed. And by the end of that night, I told myself I was coming over to Renee's house because I needed to recharge and rejuvenate and fill my tank again. I went over there, and at the end of it, I was full. And I told him that, and I told him how much I appreciated it because like I needed that. Don't worry, my wife told me all about like the hours I missed going over to his house like 5 times the next day. But to me, it was totally worth it.
Yeah, so I'm glad you cleared that up because that's how I took it. So I'm sure that's how our listeners are going to take it too. So I had to bring that up. But anyways, guys, I think that we hit the nail right on the head as far as labels, positive labels, negative labels, and how you can refocus yourself to use those labels to your advantage. Okay, guys, until next time, make sure you put a comment, hit the bell notification, and write a review.
Love it. Love it. Appreciate you guys. We'll see you next week.
See you guys.
Thanks for tuning into the Online Entrepreneur Experience. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any episodes that we're releasing and any of these amazing pieces of value that we're giving out. And if you could take the time out of your day and leave us a review, we would be so grateful. We look forward to seeing you on that next episode.